viewers. Today I am making a video on the psychology, and I know that this psychology topic is very important even for the students who are preparing for the CTET and CTET test, and for the students who are preparing the semester exam in the D.EL.ED course. And I'm sure that this content that I'm making, the video that I am making is very much be useful for your exam point of view, and even for the preparation of any kind of interview related to the child psychology. It will be helpful even not only for the students, but it will be very much helpful for the parents also, because most of the parents, we deal with the child, and we should know the psychology of the child. Until and unless the parents or the teachers do not know the psychology of the child, we will not be able to deal the student or the children effectively. So friends, today I'll be talking about what is the psychology. Let us see the original derivations of the word psychology. Here the word psychology comes from the Greek words. This word psychology comes from the Greek words. It comes from the Greek words that is in the number one is the psyche, and number two is the logos. Okay, so let me repeat. The word psychology comes from the Greek words, that is psyche, one, and number two is the logos. In this, psyche means here it's a soul. Psyche means soul, whereas the logo is a science. Now here it means, based on this origin or derivations, the psychology is understood as a science of soul. So this is the science of soul. You can add here science of soul. This is how the derivation of the word psychology as a science of soul. Let's see further the meaning of the psychology based on this. The meaning of psychology, as per this derivation, the psychology was considered to be as a science of soul. You can see here is the body, it's the physical body, but this is in our understanding, in religious understanding, in our belief system, we also believe that there is a soul exists, but nobody has seen that particular soul. So the first meaning, derivation of the psychology as science of soul. So as a scientific way, how can we observe, how can we measure the soul? Here you can see. So therefore, because the soul has no physical existence and can neither be seen nor be observed. Because of this reason, there are some other reason too, but I am not going to explain in detail. Because of this simple reason, the soul doesn't have any physical existence and it can neither be seen or observed. Because as a psychology, it should be observable, it should be measurable, so that we can judge and we can predict and evaluate the child's behavior. But since if we consider the psychology as a science of soul, then soul has no physical existence. We cannot observe and we cannot predict. So as a teacher in the classroom, how can we see or how can we observe the soul of the child, right? So because of all these reasons, the first definitions, the psychology as a science of soul has been rejected by the psychologists. Let's see the second point. Some of the psychologists, they consider the psychology as a science of mind. You can see here the mind, right? Since, of course, in fact, we have a physical mind, but what you are thinking, what you are imagining, what you are reasoning, we're sitting at the classroom and sitting at your home, what a person is thinking, what a person is perceiving or reasoning, that cannot be seen or that cannot be measured. Say, if I say in Hindi, वो पर्सन, वो इंसान जो है क्या सोच रहा है मन के दिमाग के अंदर में, क्या इनका ब्रेन में क्या घूम रहा होगा, that cannot be seen, no, that cannot be observed. Because of all these reasons, again the psychology as a science of mind has also been rejected. As it has been mentioned here, it has no physical existence, but it includes mental process such as perceiving, imagining and reasoning. These all perceiving, reasoning, imagining, that cannot be seen by the observer, right? Or even by the psychologist. So based on that, because of all these reasons, again the psychology as a science of mind has also been rejected. Now thirdly, let's go further. The psychology is considered psychology as a science of consciousness. Here the term consciousness means our immediate awareness of any object, right? It's a science of consciousness. This is also could not fulfill the main objective of the psychology. So it's a consciousness, conscious, unconscious, subconscious. These are all cannot be observed or cannot be measured. Based on that, again, the third definitions, the psychology as a science of consciousness, has also been rejected by the psychologists. Now, fourthly, the many psychologists understood that psychology as a science of behavior, right? Now here you can see two pictures. Here is a one child and is another child. Now by seeing the emotions, their behavior, you can just predict. Here is a child. It seems the child is angry and his child is very happy. So based on this, by seeing the behavior of these two particular child, this is just an example. So based on that, we can just understand the mindset of this child and we can understand the mindset of this child. So psychology is the best explanation of the psychology is the psychology as a science of behavior, because behavior are always observable, right? So as a teacher in the classroom, what child is behaving, you can see, you can observe, and based on your observation, you can predict the behavior and attitudes of the child, right? So my dear friends, as a teacher in the classroom, we are the best observer, right? So as a teacher, we should observe the behavior, how child is behaving inside the classroom or outside the classroom. We can observe and we can understand the psychology of the child. Accordingly, we can teach the child. By understanding the psychology of the child, we can teach the child effectively, right? So I just want to discuss with you, as the most psychologists accepted as a science, psychology as a science of behavior. Why behavior? Because behavior is observable and behavior is measurable, right? Now, why science? Why it is called the science, right? Why it is called science? Science of behavior. What is science? Here you can see the science may be defined as a systematized body of knowledge. The science is a very systematic process, right? It is a systematized body of knowledge which may be, you can see here, which may be verified. It can be verified, right? It can be verified at any time. At any time you can verify what the child is behaving, right? It's a systematic observation, right, of the child behavior. And it can be verified at any time by any number of individuals, by a one person or a group of person or a whole class. It can be observed or it can be verified, right, under a given conditions, because this is the science. This is called the science, right? Now let's see further. Science is engaged in a discovering those conditions. Science is engaged in discovering those conditions and factors. Those conditions and factors, right? It's engaged in discovering, right? Discovering those conditions. Here, these conditions and factors that determine or cause the occurrence of particular event using scientific method. We use the scientific method of observation, right? So when we do the scientific way of observation, that our observation is always correct, right? So we can do of experimentation. That's what most of the psychologists, psychological experiment is done with the animal, and that animal's behavior can was applied even to the human. So scientific method of experimentation and observation. Well, we do experiment, right? The child, not in the experiment doesn't mean that we take the child to the laboratory and we put acids and we do experiment. No, it's not the way. But we take them in the certain under given conditions and we observe and we do some research and we observe their behavior, right? And we note down their behavior, right? This is the meaning. That's why it is a why the psychology is considered as a science of behavior, because it is done in a very systematized way, and a very systematic way. Okay, so which can be verified by any time by any number of individuals under given condition. Because of this reason, the psychology is considered as a science of behavior, right? It's not just simply observing, but it always proceed with a scientific process. Clear? So that's what the meaning is, that as a psychologist, as a teacher, as an observer, we should always observe in a very systematic, in a very scientific way. Now let's see some of the definitions given by some of the scholars. Here is a Charles E. Skinner. He defines psychology deals with the responses to any and every kind of situation that life presents. By response means all forms of processes, adjustment, activities and experiences of the organism. Let me explain. Now what the Charles E. Skinner has said. He said that psychology deals with the responses of the behavior of the individual, of any and every kind of under which situation the child is facing, how the child is responding, how a person is responding with that situation, and we observe those behavior, right? By response means the all form of process and how the person is adjusting with the situation and the activities and the experience. So this is what the Charles E. Skinner has defined as psychology. Crow and Crow. Okay, Crow and Crow is two person. He says that both of them said psychology is the study of human behavior and human relationship. So both psychologists agree that the psychology is study of human behavior. Yes, we have already discussed the human behavior. It's not only the human behavior, how human relationship, how we human relate with that's interpersonal relationship, how the person is relate with the other individual, and how a person relate with his environment. Those is the study of the psychology. Now I see the etymological meaning of the first part has been done. Now second part is what is education. Now let me discuss with you the original derivation of the word education. The word education comes from the Latin word, it's called Latin word, three words: educare, edushare and educator. Okay, you must remember this. Number one is educare, edushare, this is 2 and this is 3. And remember, the psychology comes from the Greek word, but whereas the education comes from the Latin word of 3: educare, edushare and educator. Now what is educare means? The educare means to bring up, right? To raise up, to educate. Okay, the meaning of educare means to bring up and to raise up, to educate, right? Here the edushare means to lead out and to draw out. Now first one is to bring up, right? And to lead out. And in the process of bringing and leading out, the training is very, very important. So then comes the act of teaching or training. That's what, now as a psychologist, we education bring the child, right? And lead the child in the process of teaching. So that's what the role of the teaching, classroom teachings or the training for the children are very, very important. There are 3 domains of education. We must visit in the form of pyramid. The 3 domains of education are: number 1 is the cognitive domain. Number 2 is the affective. Number 3 is the psychomotor. Okay? We must remember there are 3 domains of education. The number 1 is the cognitive. It is the mind, right? It's the mental, mind or the mental. And then affective is we can symbolize our hearts. It is effective, our emotions, right? And psychomotor is the physical. Here this is the physical. Now, if a child develops in a cognitive, mental, and an affective and psychomotor in these 3 domains, if a child is fully developed, then only we can say that all-round development of a personality, right? So education is simply the main modification of behavior. So how we can call a person educated when a person has a cognitive development, affective and psychomotor development. So as a teacher, when we are teaching any student, we should always give priority to the cognitive development. That's why in the top of pyramid, the cognitive comes first. We always focus on the mental development. But mental development in a child is not only enough, right? So many of the children, they have a mental development, right? They have a vast knowledge, right? And they can answer any type of questions, right? But sometimes their effective level is 0, right? Sometimes very less. So affective means the child should understand the values, right? Their emotions, their feeling, and how the child is related with how the child is applying those knowledge. That is the affective domain. And the psychomotor is the act of work. Many children, they are very good in studies, they are very good in relating with the others, but they are very weak in words. So one should be, as a teacher, as an educator, we should focus on the 3 domains of education. Then only we can say that yes, all round development of child has taken place. So as a teacher, when you are teaching in the class or we are making a lesson plans, whatever, we should always give attention on the cognitive development of the child. Not only cognitive but affective, at the same time psychomotor. So when you make a lesson plan or when you are teaching any student, we should always give emphasis on the affective and then psychomotor also. Many a times teacher only give the cognitive, mental development, knowledge development, but whereas the affective development and the emotional and the interpersonal development is skill development, we don't give importance, right? Let's see what Gandhi has said about the education. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nations, he believed in the child-centered education. Okay, he believed in let us see educational thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi. What Mahatma Gandhi has said is that by education, I mean all round. Okay, here, all round, drawing out of the best in child, that is in the child and man, not only child, it's psychology. Yes, this psychology apply not only to child, but also apply to the adult also. We need to understand the adult psychology also. That's what by education, I mean all round drawing out of the best in child, man. That is 3, 1, body, physical body, mental and spiritual, right? So here Gandhiji emphasized not only on the mental development, but also physical development, at the same time spiritual development. That means if we drawing out the best of the child in man and body, then we can say that yes, education has taken place. So as a teacher, as an educator, we should always try to draw out the best of the child, so that the child will develop physically, mentally and spiritually. Clear? Vivekananda has said that he is a famous saying, arise, awake. You can see, arise, awake, and do not stop until goal is reached. This is what Vivekananda has said. Arise, awake, and do not stop until the goal is reached. What is the goal? No. Now, as a teacher, what is the goal for a teacher? For us as a teacher, the goal is to drawing out the best of the child in physical, mental, and spiritual, and you can say that all-round development of a child, right? So here, Vivekananda has said that education is the manifestation of perfection already reached by man. Now let's see what is educational psychology. Say that educational psychology, it is the systematic study of the development of individual within the educational settings, right? So this is the definitions given by S.S. Chauhan. He said that the educational psychology is a systematic study of the development, right? Development of whose? Any individual, right? It can be children, it can be adult. So if that is done within the educational setting, say classroom, classroom, in the classroom, if this systematic study is taking place in the education, in the schools, then we can say that this is an educational psychology, right? So as a psychiatrist, as a doctor, even as a common man, we need to understand the psychology. So if this psychological methods and application is applied in the school's environment, then we can say that this is a educational psychology, right? Why educational psychology? Why educational psychology is important for the teacher educator, even for the teachers, even for the parents too, right? It helps. This educational psychology helps, right? This psychology, it helps the teacher. It helps the teacher to foster, right, harmonious development. What do you mean by here harmonious development? We can say that harmonious development is cognitive, affective, and psychological. In these three domains, how harmoniously the child is growing, right? It's developing. Foster harmonious development of the student into number one is to make the child responsible, and make the child, number two, participating citizen. Not only citizen, to make them a participating citizen, to make them, the purpose behind the study of educational psychology is to make them responsible person, right? Number one. Number two is make them participatory citizen, and three is to make them sensitive human being, right? And number four is to make them reflective human being. And not only reflective, but make the child, make the individual, this is the 5 point, is a productive, and number 6 is to make them creative. So this is because of all these 6 reasons. That's what the educational psychology is very, very important for the teachers, right? So let me repeat. It helps the teacher in fostering harmonious development of the student into a responsible. Many children, even though may have the very vast academic knowledge and have many degrees, but they are not responsible. So as a teacher in the classroom, we should make them, we should prepare them, the children, to be a responsible and to be a participating curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular. Not only that in the educational setting, but in the outside of society, in our country, that our children should participate in making our country a better country, right? And sensitive to the culture, to the religion, and the situation, the place we are living. So we should always be sensitive to the others. I have seen many of teachers and students are not sensitive. So as a teacher, we should always be sensitive, right? And we should always sensitize the children, and to be a reflective thinkers, right? Reflective, should always reflect on what is good, what is bad, what should be done, what is my role and responsibility. We should always make them think and reflect, and so ultimate result is to be a productive citizen, okay? And whatever activities they do, they always be in creative way they will do. Next class, I'll be sharing with you what is the relationship between the education and the psychology, and the role of school teachers and of child psychology. And to make our education system better, I will be sharing with you in the next episode. Thank you for today, and I hope that you will like my lessons, and please like and share and comment. Thank you.